could you give us a little more information on the student record label?
So the student record label, Rain Records, relaunched 4 years ago when I started here. We operate primarily as a label services and distribution company. We have 5 artists who are currently signed. A couple of them you can see behind me, and the students work with them directly. It is an experiential class. We meet twice a week. In person on Tuesdays and online on Thursdays. And Tuesdays we sit around a conference table just as any record label executive meeting would take place, and we go around the room and say, what's happening with your artist? What is the conversation that you had with them? What do we need to do in order to get that record out or work on that event that we're putting together? The record label put out a record this past Friday, March 1st, by Blaine, who is a Latino EDM artist, a student, actually in the Nashville program at the moment. And so they are working to find opportunities to market him. And over the next couple of weeks, we're gonna launch an EDM playlist. They'll be pitching the radio station and the student newspaper for coverage. So I try very much to have it be as close to a real life experience as I can.
So it's a class.
Yes,
students
it is a class.
Students get credit for it, for being in a class, but it's also a real life record label, right? So there's releases and schedules and people get paid, and it's like functions like a actual record label. Do students take it multiple semesters?
Yes. So we made a change in the program this past year, and first year students all take it for 1 credit, which is a great kind of way to get thrown right into it, to meet me, and get started in music industry. And you can take it for 1, 2, or 3 credits. So if you want to continue to work in the label, you could do so over a couple of semesters. We've had students who have returned. Or if you want to take it just for 1 semester, you can. So we offer that flexibility.
The answer to all of that is yes. So we have 3 studios, and we'll be taking a look at them after we leave here. We'll be doing a little tour of that. We have our sort of beginning studio, our Studio C, which is our sort of, I guess I'll call it an entry-level studio. It's smaller in space, but there is also, there is a control room and a live room associated with that. You can start to book in that studio once you take our intro class, our fundamentals of recording course, and that is in your freshman year. So we try to get it so that you can get right into that studio to start doing whatever you want right off the bat. All of our studios are 24/7 as long as the school is open. It's not over, holiday break or something like that. Studios are open for booking, and depending upon what course you're in, get you into the next kind of level of the studio. So generally speaking, as in the freshman year, you could be in Studio C. As you move into junior year, that's when kind of everything starts opening up for you. However, there is our Audio Engineering Society Club, which is a good kind of way of getting into the studios, all of the studios right off the bat, because that club meets once a week. In the studios, they go over everything, and that's also a good place for underclassmen to meet upperclassmen and work with them as sort of assistant engineers in their projects, and we go from there. So we try to have them as available as anybody would want.
So just to recap, sorry, I didn't hit an important point that you just said. When you're first year, you can get into the studios by joining that student club, AES, or Audio Engineering Society. That's your best way to get into the studio before you've taken that required recording fundamentals class. Once you've taken that class and other classes,
Then you can start to book on your own.
Then you can start to have a little more control over the studios. And just to answer one more point that it was in your question, is that students do classwork in those studios, but they also do independent creative projects of their own, and both are true. So maybe you book it for 3 hours because you have a project due and you need to get that work done in the studio, but then you might book a separate session to bring in your friends or bring in a band or record your own project. So students do both of those things. Yeah.
About how many students are in those majors and so are trying to get access to those 3 students?
So for the first studio that I was talking about, that's open. Basically everyone in the industry program, as well as this music and sound recording and the music tech, all of them would have access there to Studio C. So that really depends upon class size as that goes. That said, I think we're going to be seeing some students of mine that are working in there. They'll be able to tell you better than I can what their ability to access the studios are, although I do see the bookings and I see that there's always something available within the week. So it really is, I've worked in a number of schools. This, to me, has by far is the most available studios because we run them 24/7, because we are relatively small majors. There are some courses that I book, 4 hours per student per week. So if it's a course with, 20 students in it, then that's taking up maybe half the studio time with that, but there's still a lot of availability. And again, between the 3 studios, there's usually something open in the time that you need it.
I try and talk about all the time is just the extent to which you are, when you're in the music industry, so much of what you're doing has to do with the relationships that you cultivate along the way. You're not kind of following what we would think about the traditional path of I'm going to complete a resume and write a cover letter and send that in, because typically what's happening in the music industry is people are, you're getting a call because you were in a session with someone prior to this point and they like the way that you played, or you worked on such and such a record and so you bring a particular insight to that project. And so what I try and get students to understand is that building that network, whether it's through an internship, whether it's through getting to know your professors who have had careers outside of academia and have connections outside of academia, whether it's using the Career Development Center, who can help you in the traditional, we'll look at your resume, we'll look at your cover letter, but understanding that a lot of the opportunities that come up are opportunities that you make for yourself, and very often you make them because you are putting yourself in situations where people know you, or you are researching the kinds of situations in which you can then sort of say to someone, hey, I'm applying for this job, can I talk to you about it? Or do you know someone at that company? And I have students, I encourage them all the time, send in an application, we talk about this in Nashville, send in an application and then find out who you know who works there. I mean, there's a chance that I may know someone who works there. Talk to the student who was the intern there before you. Use those opportunities to get that conversation going. I do a seminar that's now taking place basically every semester where I invite students and we have we talk about this. And in the fall, I did one where we brought alumni back, and the alumni did a panel discussion to talk about their experiences. And we had alumni from class of 2024 who had an internship, and that internship got them known at, in this particular case, Live Nation, and there was an opportunity that then arose at Live Nation, and that person got the call. So those kinds of things do happen, and it isn't just about resume and cover letter, it's about the relationships that you build.
Just to jump in with one more thing, and this is a long answer to your very short question, but it is important if you're thinking long-term about what a career is going to look like afterwards. Our degrees have internship requirements, which means you'll work with an internship advisor to secure an internship during the time that you're a student. And many, many students that I know of have spun that internship opportunity into something that looks like a job after they graduate, right? It doesn't always happen for everyone, but it's a way of dipping your toes into various companies, into various industries, and getting your name known. And then, yeah, like you said, that can turn into an opportunity for students down the road. So that's something that is a required part of your degree, but that also is a way of getting your foot in the door for a career further down the road.
I'll make it a little longer.
Yeah, we all have things to say about this.
Which is a lot of the time people come in with a preconceived notion of what they think they're going to want to do when they graduate the program. And what I see a lot of the time happen as we work through things is they're exposed to these different facets of the industry in different ways you can go. As I was mentioning before, a lot of my students that start out wanting to work in a recording studio, by the time they get to meet the capstone project in their senior year, they've decided that they're really, really interested in, you know, acoustic spaces and looking at, you know, that side of, like, you know, building, whether it's a performance venue or a recording studio or something like that. Or they are more interested in doing sound for film, or mixing, you know, soundtracks and things like that. So we really try to, in that capstone project, I meet with everyone one-on-one in the beginning, to even the semester before, to really map out with them, okay, you're graduating in a year, where do you want to be, you know, how do you see yourself entering the industry, and we really work that capstone to be, you know, something to develop a, you know, public-facing, that's a component of the capstone project as well, public-facing portfolio piece that can really show what they're interested in and what they're able to do. So we kind of work that course that way as well.
The question here is, how deep do we get into management? How deep do we get into marketing? And something I was actually thinking about when Zach was speaking a while ago is the extent to which the music industry courses, there are several music industry courses that are what we call ex-ed courses, where you are taking part not necessarily in a kind of lecture-based situation. The record label is one of them. And so, as an example, the students in the record label right now, actually next week, will be presenting release plans for their artist or their project. And so this is an opportunity for them to think about, what is the marketing message, what is the product, what are we selling, we're streaming, who are we selling, and then presenting the release plan. They will then run that campaign through the second half of the semester, and their final presentations will be, here's the marketing campaign that we ran. So in the case of the record label, it's very much a hands-on sort of marketing and product development sort of look at how record labels function. In terms of artist management, we teach artist management as an elective, and I think I will probably be teaching that next fall. And that's a higher level course where, again, kind of from an ex-ed perspective, we sit down and in the first 2 weeks, we talk about, who do you want to work with? And I have the students reach out to an artist who they may know, maybe someone that they went to high school with, maybe someone that they're working with, maybe a classmate, not a classmate, but someone else in the program, and they manage them for that semester. And we run through a number of exercises designed to have them figure out what exactly needs to get done, and then actually do something that helps them and their client move their career forward. So it is very much an experiential way to have those marketing, have those management experiences.
Yeah. You said ex-ed a couple times, but just to define it, experiential education. Yes. Yeah, the idea that you're actually doing the thing with real world consequences, right? You're actually out there in the world doing the thing.